Support for today's show comes from Bin 113. Looking to grow your winery's direct-to-consumer sales? Bin 113 leverages proven marketing expertise to help U.S.-based wineries like yours acquire and retain more customers. With over 100 years of combined experience, we make your D2C marketing as exceptional as your wine. Visit bin113.com to learn how we can help you sell more wine.
This takes so much time, right? We knew this was going to take 25 years when we started the business. And we weren't doing this as a business. Like, we weren't doing it for a quarterly return. We were doing it to build culture. And I think that's so exciting because there's so few places you get to do that now.
Hello, Sandra.
Hello, Alan.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm cold.
Yeah, well, that's very appropriate given the fact that today we are traveling to the great state of Minnesota.
Minnesota. Who would have thought? It's just always shocking, right? They're making wines in all these amazing states.
So I'll tell you, the first time I traveled to Minnesota on business, this was many, many years ago, before the internet, and I had hotel booklets telling me which hotels and all that.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand why all of them had in the listings indoor heated parking.
Now you know.
I knew the second I got there. At any rate, Minnesota is, believe it or not, it's the 20th largest state in the country for wine production. Who would have thought it, right? Obviously, cold weather climate.
Yep, cool weather winemaking.
The University of Minnesota's program on grape breeding and enology is a global leader in developing grape varieties suited to colder climates.
Amazing. And we're tasting all of them today.
Yeah, so they've got quite a partner
Yeah.
in academia, which is awesome. The other things about Minnesota that people, it's the land of 10,000 lakes. It's a beautiful state. I don't know if you've spent much time
I've been
there.
there once. It was delightful.
I spent a lot of time there earlier in my career, but there are almost 12,000 lakes actually in the state of Minnesota. And most importantly is the home of the largest shopping mall.
Yes, the Mall of America is there.
Correct.
Yes,
I
that's
have been
right.
there.
You have, yeah.
And I did not get on any of the roller coasters because they do have an indoor amusement park.
That's right. That's right. Mall of America.
And
Wow.
then finally, for all the music fans, Minnesota's home to two iconic and very, very different musicians.
Right. Prince
and Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this should be fun. So
this is great. I'm excited to meet them.
Looking forward to it.
Okay. Well, here we go.
Hello, Ben. It's good to see you. Ben Banks from Sovereign Estate.
Hi, Ben.
Hi there. Good to see you.
In the great state of Minnesota. Tell us a little bit about Minnesota
and you.
Sure. Thank you. And thanks for having me on. I think this will be a lot of fun. Yeah, Minnesota is a very interesting wine region. It's up and coming. And what's neat about Minnesota is, everybody thinks very cold, which it is in the winters. But during the summers, it's very hot. We have a very continental climate, hot in the summer, cold in the winter. And it does get to 40 below zero pretty often. So we can't grow traditional grape varieties here. So what's nice about Minnesota is there have been a lot of breeders and the university working to make varieties that'll grow to 40 below zero, that'll be disease resistant and make good wine. And that has been going since the 60s, but really picked up speed in the 90s with the development of some of the wines that we're going to be tasting. And really came about 2006 when Marquette came out, which was our first really dry red grape. And I think prior to that, there might have been 7 or 8 wineries in the state of Minnesota. And after 2007, it jumped up to about 70, might over be 100 now.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So
because of the development of these grapes by the university.
That's right. Yeah. And what's nice about that is it's intentional. The university has really, had a goal, like they did when they bred their apples for Honeycrisp apples, which are some of the best. People eat them all over the country now. And they thought, well, why not try that with grapes? And certainly there were the farmers who led into that, like Elmer Swenson, Tom Ploker, and a lot of other breeders got together, Peter Hemstad. They all worked and came up with these varieties, and it was a very small knit community. It still is, and it's really exciting to be starting something new in wine, which has been around for since the beginning of human civilization. So we're getting to do something new, and that's really exciting. We've been at it ourselves well, we planted our vineyard 2007,
Oh,
just with
okay.
that initial wave of Minnesota wineries all jumping in.
And when did you do your first release?
Our first vintages were 2010.
Yep.
But from our own grapes, I believe it was about 2013 until we had a solid vintage from our own grapes.
Wow. And then have you been there from the beginning yourself, Ben?
Yeah, so I came here to start this winery.
Huh.
It's a family business. So started with my parents, my stepbrother. We've been at it from the beginning, and what? Yeah, since about 2010.
Wow. And so had you been in wine making before? I mean, how did you end up in this position?
Well, that's interesting. So my background is actually in graphic arts and design,
Uh-huh.
and photography. That's what I went to school for. That's what I did growing up. That's what I did right out of college. Uh, and that's a very interesting field because graphic design is a very technical skill. You have to be good with computers, and photography is a very technical skill. You have to be good with chemistry and time and temperature and exposure. But with both of those, if you're not an artist, it doesn't matter, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
don't make a compelling composition, it doesn't matter if your technique is perfect. So what happened with the winery here, I came here just to start with making our wine labels and doing our website and maybe, doing the tasting room, maybe helping in the kitchen. I have a lot of, culinary background too. But right from our very beginning, I did decide to start learning how to make the wine. I was interested in it. And that was in 2007. And I just started with kit wines. And then 2009, 2010, we had through the university an exchange student from France. And he and I worked together on the first vintage here. He had a lot of experience. He was from the Châteauneuf-du-Pape region of France.
Mhm.
So he had a lot of experience. I learned a lot from him. And we made the first batch of wine here together.
That's
Uh,
wild.
and then I just took it over when he had to go back to France. And it turned out I kind of had a knack for it.
Mm-hmm. It
Um,
is amazing. I mean, in anybody's careers, I mean, we've had reinventions of ourselves, so many times. And
yeah,
you just stepped into something new, and it is, being a winemaker is artistry.
yes,
You're a farmer, you're a scientist, and you're an artist. So it
yes,
makes
Well,
sense that you would, be interested.
even in interviews we've had with other winemakers and other episodes of the podcast, we've heard a really wide variety of stories.
How people literally tripped into this position.
My favorite
yes,
one was the young man whose previous position was working at the local dry cleaning
oh
Yes.
yeah,
establishment, and he came on board at the winery very much like it sounds like you did to do a
Yeah.
variety of different things. And over time, his curiosity mixed with, the owner's willingness to
Right.
share techniques with it,
yeah.
he's become, like you, an award-winning
Mm-hmm.
winemaker.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get to some of your awards as we
Okay,
get into the wines themselves. But we know that the San Francisco Chronicle has given you some very, very nice props recently.
yes,
So
Yeah,
congratulations
that's
for
amazing.
thank
that.
you.
And so we have four bottles
Yes,
open and very, of course, because these grapes are unique to your area.
they
So
are.
very excited. Of course, we're on the East Coast. We haven't been able to experience these. So this is really really fun. And which wine would you like us to start with? The Itasca or
I would actually start with the Nouveau.
Okay.
the Nouveau?
Yeah.
Okay. I was excited
So,
we opened this up and I smelled it. Yep, here's
yes.
the Nouveau.
Yeah,
I said,
Nouveau.
okay, I smell a lot going on here.
So
And
the grape is Marquette. There's a little Frontenac in it as well. And it is made in a Nouveau style. So
So
this
it's that
one,
carbonic maceration kind of.
carbonic maceration in bins.
Oh, I got it on
Uh,
the nose. I mean, like right away.
yeah, lots of strawberry, lots of bubble gum.
Yep, bubblegum and candied fruit. I smelled it immediately when I saw the label and I smelled that. I was like, ooh, I know what that is.
And only a small batch of this, maybe 150 cases,
Okay.
small batch, and released on Nouveau Day.
Hmm.
One thing
Wow.
I'm particularly fond of, my daughter did the artwork.
It's
She's only
beautiful.
14 and did a
She's
really pretty
Wow, wait a
job.
second.
she's so talented. That is gorgeous.
Yeah, it really hits the mark of what a
Beautiful.
Nouveau wine should look like.
Oh my
So wait,
goodness.
time out for a second. So she's 14. She created
Yeah.
a magnificent label.
Mhm.
Told us that your background was in graphic design. So is she coming for your job as the winemaker someday?
Uh, Maybe she's very talented chef as well. Um,
Wow.
and yeah,
Nice.
Tell her we love her label. It is gorgeous.
yeah. So this Nouveau, it's like I said, it's Marquette. And Marquette is a hybrid of Pinot Noir bred by University of
Mhm.
Minnesota. And one of its characteristics is it has a lot of concentrated fruits, but it doesn't have a lot of tannins.
Mhm.
So it actually lends itself to a Nouveau style quite well.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm. Wow. So that was your inspiration.
yeah, and a lot of people have done this. It's been a very common tactic in Minnesota.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to do carbonic macerations. In fact, one of the original Minnesota wineries, which is no longer in business, um, every wine was done carbonic maceration,
Mm.
and that was from the 70s. It's been a well-known thing to do here,
Mhm.
and I think it's because of those really strong fruits.
They are. So let's talk about what we're tasting here. I mean, I'm definitely tasting like cooked strawberry. You've got that bubble gum on the nose. Like it really, I mean, eyes closed, you'd think, oh, this is a Beaujolais Nouveau. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
Yeah,
really,
absolutely.
it has just a pinch of residual sugar, maybe 1%. Um, and for Minnesota, relatively low acidity. One of the defining things of Minnesota wines are their acidity.
mm-hmm.
It's I don't know if it's one of the things that helps it survive the winter, but
Mm.
all of our grapes are always going to be more punchy, more vibrant, more bright.
This is juicy. I mean, it's like mouth-wateringly juicy. I'm tasting like a Jolly Rancher,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
strawberry Jolly Rancher or something. It's really like rich and it's really fun. I mean, I'm like,
Ben, tell us a little bit about food pairings.
ooh, yes. What did you play with?
Okay,
Recommendations you would make with this varietal.
so with this Nouveau in particular, absolutely a great pair for picnic food. So
Mm-hmm.
things like chicken salad, fried chicken, you know, anything you would take to the beach.
Okay.
Turkey and ham
Mhm.
sandwiches are wonderful, but it's also great with holiday food, just like any other Nouveau.
Sure.
Roast turkeys,
Yep.
roast beef,
A roast
mashed potatoes and
chicken.
gravy,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's so light. It's easy. It's not a wine that asks you a lot of questions. It just says, "Here I am. I taste yummy. I'm going to taste good with your food."
Hmm. It
Um,
is
and
yummy. It is.
yeah,
That's
It
a
really
great
is.
word for it. It's just yummy. It's just
yeah.
like fruity and yummy. This would be a great wine. I met someone the other day, and we talked wine, and he says, "Oh well, I'm just getting into red wines, and what should I try?" And I said, "Oh, try a Beaujolais or a
Yeah.
Beaujolais Nouveau, like the low
Mhm.
acidity, the
Yep.
nice bright fruit. It's a great." Stepping stone for somebody that's young, that's getting into tasting, learning what they like. But there's sweetness there.
Yeah,
Really fun.
I really I agree with you about the holiday foods. I think this would be a great complement
Oh,
to
absolutely.
Thanksgiving dinner for sure.
Yep. Yummy. Really yummy. Just like you
Yes,
said, it's a yummy wine.
delicious.
And
Thank you.
here, what's interesting about this is only the second year I've done a Nouveau style.
Huh.
I think because of the higher acidity, this actually holds up a lot longer than maybe a Gamay Nouveau would.
Really a
I
little longer in time in the bottle, you think?
Yeah, because the wine helps stabilize it very nicely.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I
So
definitely, I still got some acidity there.
Hmm.
It would
yeah,
just like your mouth just started
Yep.
watering,
Yeah,
so it was
exactly.
really, really yummy.
and
We're
this,
gonna wait a minute. We're gonna cut to our first commercial break, and we're gonna
okay,
come back and talk a little bit more about you and the next wine. We're gonna taste it in just a second.
great.
At Toomey, 50 years of innovation starts with you. Every zipper, handle, and wheel perfected to perform so you can perform. Day in and day out. Toomey, made for you since 1975. We are back. And again, we just finished tasting the Nouveau Marquette, which was the yummy wine. And this wine won a special accolades from the San Francisco Chronicle.
Yeah, so what's nice about San Francisco Chronicle Wine Competition, it is the biggest competition of American wines, and they do have a category for American hybrids. So American hybrids basically covers everything between the Ohio rivers and the Rocky Mountains, basically. So it's a big region, and this was a best in class
Wow.
last year, or actually this year. So this January it won best in class for hybrid.
This vintage, this
This,
2024.
this very
That's
bottle, yeah.
Congratulations.
good.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Congratulations.
You must feel great when you get that kind of recognition, no?
It is. It's very interesting because I believe the wines are great, and I am always happy when somebody tastes them and their expectations are broken. That this is way better than they thought it could be.
Right.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
and we
There's a
get
lot
it.
of skeptics out there when, we talk about people, we tell people like, oh, you have to listen to our podcast. We're interviewing winemakers all over the country. And people are like, wow, Minnesota,
Yeah,
Texas, Ohio,
yeah.
what are you talking about? So
There
yeah,
is great wine all
you're
over
right.
the whole
Everybody's a
country.
preconceived notion of like, oh my, it's not going to be like, but it's not going to be that good. But these are really delicious, fun,
Yeah,
great stories, great families involved in these wines. If you wanted to
absolutely.
tell us a little bit more
Yeah,
about
we'd
your
love to hear a little
family.
bit about the
Oh
family.
yeah, just a little bit more about Sovereign Estate, our winery. It is a family business, and I think that's one thing that's really nice about our region. We're still mostly all family wineries. So this was started by my parents, Terry and Paul. They came up with the idea to plant it in 2006, put the first vines in 2007.
What was their inspiration of wine? Like, were they collectors before that? Did they just love wine in general? And they had a big bunch of money. They said, let's buy a vineyard.
No, no, this is actually planted on the family farm.
Oh, I love it.
But the farm had never been farmed by the family. So the Sovereign family had all been doctors. And this beautiful property looking out over Lake Waconia was an ideal spot for a vineyard or an orchard. And there had been some attempts to plant it, but it wasn't until my mom and Paul got together that they said, let's do this. They planted the first 100 vines and they succeeded so well that the next year planted about 3,000
Wow.
vines.
Wow. All right. So
So
they're
that
all in.
was, yep. So it's a blended family. And so on my mom's side, there's me. On Paul's side, there's Isaac. Isaac takes care of the vineyard, um, does a wonderful job growing, I think the best grapes in the state. And then I get to get all the grapes, bring them into the winery, and it's my job to make all the wine.
Wow.
What a
That's
nice,
great.
what a nice story
Yeah,
that
it
is.
is a nice
I
story.
like that a lot. We've had a lot of family wineries,
Yeah,
on the podcast, and it always seems to be, what's the word I'm looking for? It's more enriching, I think.
Yes.
We have one particular guest whose family started growing vegetables on their farm in New Jersey, and
mhm,
he was the fourth generation
Hmm.
farmer, and now his son, the fifth generation, is the vineyard
The vineyard
manager,
manager.
and it's just it. I love that.
Oh, they're great American stories. They're great,
yeah,
Exactly.
family and family businesses. That's really what I tell people that all the time. You have to realize a lot of these vineyards, these are just family-owned businesses.
exactly.
So it's nice
And
to promote and to participate and help support them.
But I got to tell you,
absolutely.
sometimes when I think about family, I want to drink wine. So let's
Oh, wait. So yes, what's the next one you want us to taste?
The next one we should do is Itasca.
okay.
Itasca.
That's this one
And
dark green
please
bottle.
tell our guests listening what Itasca is. Again, from your friends and your partners at the University of Minnesota.
Yeah, so this is another University of Minnesota variety. Itasca, it's a white wine. It's named after the headwaters of the Mississippi,
Hmm.
right? So the Mississippi River starts up here in Minnesota at Itasca. It's a very
Ooh,
light white, very um, expressive of minerality, a lot of tropical fruit like guava.
I'm totally getting the
Uh,
guava on the nose.
yeah, a lot of
Oh,
lemongrass.
yep.
Yep.
Guava,
Uh,
lemongrass. I mean, so if we were going to compare it to something, it's more in the Sauvignon Blanc family.
absolutely.
Hmm.
That was my first impression
Yes.
on the aroma.
Yeah. Because again, this is not a grape that, everybody's really familiar with. So
This
just
is
on the nose, I'm getting white flower and guava and lemon, all of that. Lemon, little
Yeah.
white stone peach.
Yes, absolutely.
absolutely delicious, Ben.
Thank you.
This is right up Alan's lane. He loves this
Yeah, and
style.
with a nice crispness, bright acidity, a lot of it's not a creamy finish. It's
Right.
very impactful. And we like that because, you know, it, to me, this is a very food friendly wine.
Very dry,
Uh,
has a really like elegant crisp finish.
Yes.
yes,
It just absolutely finishes and very, very succinct, just like a very
yeah,
clean finish.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a new bottling, um, and this is maybe the third bottling of Itasca for
Wow.
us. It's a new grape. So
Yeah.
it's only the third time we've made it, and I've learned a lot. Itasca is a very high nutrient demand. I have to feed it a lot in the fermentations, and this year it really all came together. I'm very happy with it
Wow.
because this is, like you said, very very similar to Sauvignon Blanc in style. So this is one of the wines that was picked by the University of Minnesota to represent their alumni wine club. So they have a big alumni dinner each year, and this was the white wine that they had for the whole dinner for all
From
the
your
guests.
from your vineyard.
Mhm.
It's outstanding.
Yeah.
So is this also a fairly limited production for you?
This one, let's see, this is about 800 cases.
Okay, so definitely more significant than the Nouveau. And
Yes,
I'm getting a lot of like mineral in this, like just
yeah,
stone, like wet
yeah,
Mhm.
stone,
slate,
really. Yes, slate.
Rokes limestone.
Yes.
and what about food recommendations, food pairings?
You know, our biggest seller is charcuterie. So this is absolutely the summer charcuterie white wine.
Mm-hmm.
So hard, salty cheeses,
Mm-hmm.
spicy salamis.
Nice.
I think
Um,
chicken
you know,
piccata. This would be great with chicken piccata,
Yeah.
like
absolutely.
capers and lemon
Oh,
and
yeah, that would be nice.
yes.
We have an arugula and capicola pizza with a white sauce that this is pretty awesome with.
Oh yeah, anything salty? I think the
Yeah,
salt would really
Yeah.
play off
salty
this
and
beautifully.
peppery.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, piccata would be great. You know,
Oh.
asparagus in this are awesome together. So
And that's a tough
like
pairing.
yeah,
That's hard, but like roasted asparagus, yeah.
roasted asparagus and this
Yeah.
are awesome
I've been,
together.
I've been grilling hours.
Yeah, grilling.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, it's so
Getting
good.
grill season, yeah.
On the grill. I grilled some
Yeah.
purple asparagus
Oh,
last
pretty.
week. It was beautiful.
Oh,
Absolutely
nice.
delicious. This is outstanding. This is great.
Yes.
And tell us what's the price point? We should have asked on
Oh,
the
yeah.
Nouveau.
Oh,
Is what
sure. As a boutique winery, our wines are averaging between 25 to 30 a bottle.
right?
Mhm.
So a little bit on the higher end, but I think for their quality, they're earning it.
It's wonderful quality wine and it's supporting family businesses and supporting local artisans and that's that there it's a bigger story than what can I get for, $15?
Right. Exactly.
Oh yeah.
This is a totally different experience. So, and speaking of experiences, I looked at your website with all of you have Wine Down Wednesday and
Yes.
Sunset Fridays with free music.
Yes.
People can just come to your vineyard. They've got live bands playing on Wednesdays and
Yep.
Fridays constantly all through the summer.
That's right. And
So fun.
that it is a lot of fun, and that's where we are as an industry in Minnesota. We
Mhm.
still have to convince people that we're legitimate. So
Yeah,
you do everything you can to get them out to the vineyard, and once they get that first taste, the wine's good, they buy in.
Yep.
right.
So we're still in that. We're also in the entertainment venue. We do a lot of concerts, like you
Mhm.
said.
I was blown away actually at like
Mhm.
all the musicians. There's
Mm.
so much
Yeah,
varied music that you have coming up. And again, twice a week. That's a lot. You're
yeah,
very busy.
yeah. And what's nice is we're one of the closer wineries to the Twin Cities metro. It's about 3 million people.
Yep.
Mhm.
So we almost always have new customers every week.
What a fun
So
thing to do.
so
Well,
it's
I could see this on a hot summer day, either
Absolutely.
the Beaujolais, the Nouveau Marquette, or this the Itasca. I mean, just great hot weather wine.
So what I love
absolutely.
about this, because I am a Sauvignon Blanc lover, but I've sort of soured on the New Zealand
Yeah.
Sauvignon Blancs because they've just been too acidic.
They're too grassy.
Yeah, too
This
Yeah.
I
grassy.
didn't get that grassy. This is a different grape, and so
Yeah, it's
more that
more fruit
guava
forward.
lemongrass.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
this next
Le,
wine.
yeah, Le Crescent.
Yes,
This is actually
another
my favorite.
amazing wine or grape created by the University of Minnesota.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about the parentage of Itasca. I know that Le Crescent was bred from Seyval Blanc, which was one of the original French-American hybrids, through St. Pepin, which I believe was a Swenson grape, Elmer Swenson grape, and a few others. So it has, that heritage. Um, but this is actually my favorite grape, and it's my favorite wine,
Really?
really.
Well, just on the nose, I mean, that's got I mean, I'm getting a lot of apple,
Yes, apple.
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah,
to get pineapple, some
pear, a little,
pear.
yeah, a little like tart pineapple on there.
You could get lychee.
Ah, there you go. See,
Um,
once he mentions it, then you're like, oh, I smell.
yeah, you
Yeah.
get lemon
Yep.
and some rose petal, and a little bit of spice, like baking spice.
Oh,
So, um, again, if we were to compare these to a wine other people are familiar with, we
hmm.
tend to say this is somewhere between Pinot Grigio and Riesling.
Uh-huh.
I like to say dry Riesling because
Yes.
people think Rieslings are all sweet, but they're not. And this is dry. So, I really like this wine a lot.
Wow. Oh, it's very different.
Yes.
It's really different. And even like a little Albarino feel to it,
Yeah.
maybe.
Hmm.
But
So I'm just
but yeah, it's not overly acidic. It's got nice acidity, but like it's more tropical fruity.
so I like the
Yes.
comparison with the dry Riesling.
Yeah.
Because we do get, because we're not all that far from the Finger Lakes in New York, we do get a fair amount of dry Riesling here on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And I think this stands up well
It
to
definitely has
this.
a Riesling quality. And on the nose, like I'm even getting that lime. I'm getting like maybe a little touch of petrol. I don't know.
You're a resident. What am I getting on the finish?
On the finish. Hmm.
I'm enjoying the finish, but and I can't put my finger on
Well, there's beautiful
it.
acidity.
Yes.
I'm getting this like nice soft citrus, almost
Yes.
like a creamy lime or something.
Uh,
It's just a little
or like a pink
gone
grapefruit.
through. Would this have gone through mallow?
No, this one wouldn't have.
It didn't, but it's yeah, so it's just really kind of bright and
Yes.
just
And
fresh.
and
But
there's the
it's not too like the first one was definitely more into that Sauvignon Blanc kind of family. This
yes.
definitely has like the weight of a Pinot Grigio and the
Yeah.
depth of a Riesling.
Yeah, this is its own grape,
Yes.
right? It really doesn't compare to anything else as far as I know. And all of these flavors that we were describing and that bright acidity, the reason is because, one of the, big foods in Minnesota is pan-fried walleye, right? So we're 10,000 lakes here. Everybody's fishing in the lakes all the time. You have sunfish and walleye. And this wine is about the best thing you can have with a pan-fried walleye,
Oh, wow.
right? And I think that's really great, because
Yeah.
if you're having, a Boeuf Bourguignon, you better have Burgundy,
Yep.
Right.
and if
Right.
you're having, Italian food, you want Chianti and
The wines should
yeah,
reflect
the
what is in
geography.
the cuisine and the geography of the
Yeah,
area. Absolutely.
100%. So Ben, I'm curious. You have a large population base, as you just shared, that you're bringing people in for events, for the tasting room, and so on. What about people who are traveling to Minnesota, on vacations? Are you
Oh,
getting a lot of out-of-staters, and are they following up with you and ordering wines from the website to be shipped to their homes?
we are, one of the attractions that we're fortunate to be close to is Prince's recording studio. A lot of
Mhm.
people come in town for that. And if you look, we're the closest winery or one of the closest wineries to that. And we do get a lot of people because I know when I travel, I go to wineries.
Right.
And so we do get a very good response for people who are familiar with wine regions and other regions and the way that we present ourselves, the way that we present our wines, the experience that we give. I've had very good response for people. And yeah, we do have a wine club and it does send wine all over the country
And the
to
wine
whichever
club
states.
is on your website, which is
Yeah, it's sovereignestatewine.com.
sovereignestatewine.com. Excellent. So
That was good. I
anybody,
like how you got that in there.
right? sovereignestatewine.com.
That's right.
Excellent. We're going to cut to our second commercial break and come back and taste your premier red
Okay.
as our final wine.
Thank you.
Venue Magazine is timely and timeless. Contemporary art and design, food and wine, architecture, motoring, yachting, music and film, and more. Find it all at venuemagazine.com. We're back, and we are back with your big,
Yeah.
bad red.
Yes. So, like we started off, Marquette. Marquette, named after the French explorer who was in this region,
Sure.
just like the Crescent. Not named after the college in Michigan, just so you know. The college in Michigan is.
I just got tapped because I didn't pour enough in his glass.
Thank you.
So Marquette is a hybrid of Pinot Noir, crossbred with the grapes that can live to 40 below zero. So we got something that has the high sugars, low acids that can really make a nice wine. Marquette is a very dark grape, really rich in color, very concentrated fruits, and delicate in a way, not like the way Pinot's delicate, but it definitely needs a lot of gentle touch in the barrel room because you put Marquette in a brand new barrel. Marquette doesn't have the right sort of tannin structure to incorporate oak tannins all that well. So Marquette can often get overwhelmed by oak. So if you look, we make a lot of other wines too, Cabernet and Merlot and Syrah, and that's to temper the barrel so that the Marquette can then go in it.
So are you using older barrels?
Yeah, ones that have had a year's worth of wine made.
Yeah, so they're not so intense to
Yeah, so this
overpower the
is
grape.
pretty gently oaked.
Yeah.
And I like this a
That's
lot.
great. It smells
Concentrated
really great.
cherry, plum.
Yeah. I'm getting a little chocolate on the
Absolutely. Yeah, chocolate a
cherry
little.
and chocolate and
Little
vanilla,
like
of course, and little cedar.
absolutely.
But like more of like cooked fruits, like more of a richer cooked fruit nose.
Yes.
Not that bright that we had from the
No.
Nouveau Marquette. That was bright and plummy and cherry and appley, and this is like more plum and raisiny and
yes.
to me it's a
richer,
very intense and rich flavor.
Yes. Yeah.
Really a rich flavor.
Oh, I haven't even tasted yet. I'm just enjoying the nose.
Yeah. And I get all those aromas on the palate. I get a little sweet vanilla from the oak. And it's dry, but it's not parchingly so.
No.
It's rather mouthwatering.
Nice, really nice acidity on that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And afterwards, yes, I'm getting a little cedar. I'm smelling the oak and the toast. Really well balanced. It has all the balance. It has the acidity. It has the flavor. The rich fruit. A really beautiful finish. What's the alcohol on this?
I believe this one's pretty high, 14.9.
Wow. I was saying, I was like, I'm getting, but it wasn't overpowering, but I could feel the alcohol in my throat more. Yeah.
Yeah, even with our shorter growing season, our grapes are often coming in 29 bricks just because they're bred to ripen really fast.
Right.
So, and it's
so they're like a late blooming. They don't bloom too early, right? They don't bud too early, and they're a quick ripening grape on the vine.
That's right.
For your region. And that's because you're in the cool climate region. And you had mentioned something to me about you're involved with the cool climate association.
That's right. So for these varieties that are new cold climate varieties, basically FDA or USDA zone 4 and below. If you're in that region, we have the International Cold Climate Wine Competition, which I'm the chairperson of for the last few
Congratulations.
years. And it's something
And
we've
it's
been doing.
international. This is an international
Yeah, we
organization.
get some from Canada. I mean,
Right.
that's another country. Um,
Right.
but anybody could open it. We get a lot from Connecticut. We get from Maine and Vermont and Michigan and
Interesting.
Montana and Washington. So all the northern regions send wine into this competition, and I've been a part of it since 2013, and I've noticed the wine's getting better and better and better and better because now we're getting all these new varieties together to compare to each other and say this is what we want to push towards, this style, this style. And
And you're
they
finding in all these different regions, everybody's using, it must be interesting because you have all these unique grape varieties.
yeah,
So other regions as well are going to have very specific. I know we tasted some wines in Michigan and we had
Yes.
some unique
yeah,
varietals from Michigan as well. So that must be a very interesting competition because you're all over the map with different grape varieties.
it is. But what's interesting is you do see these Minnesota varieties really starting to take hold in like places like Vermont.
Uh-huh.
So you'll see the Minnesota varieties there, and in New York, even in Pennsylvania, they are
Interesting.
starting to grow them because they realize, oh, these don't die every fifth winter,
Yeah.
so
And they
they
can
can really.
tolerate the real cold.
Mhm.
Yeah, I go to Vermont all the time, so I'll keep my eye out for these
Yeah,
varietals up there.
So one of the things that excites me about wines as delicious as these coming from a state that is not thought of by most wine drinkers as being, sort of a core producing state, is that you get to sort of surprise and delight guests at dinner.
Yes.
You know
yes,
what I
you
mean?
do.
When you pour them a glass of wine with whatever you've chosen to serve for the meal,
Mhm.
and you don't show them the
Don't
bottle
show them. This is
necessarily.
beautiful. First of all, yeah, I want what is the price on this?
I think this one's 33 or 35.
Worth, you raise your price.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's really good.
Thank you.
It's really good. Really
Yeah.
good. But yes, you're right. You could probably bring that to someone and not say it was, you could absolutely trick somebody
Well,
if they
and
were
and
tasting this and they would be
and
surprised.
not to the extent that you want them to think that well, you didn't get something from Napa or Sonoma,
Yeah.
but
Or Burgundy or,
to teach them that there are these great wines being
yeah.
made in other parts of the country.
Because again, everybody's got to get over like
Oh,
there's
totally.
such talent. Look at you have such a talent for this, and you're growing these amazing grapes. You have this amazing relationship with the university, developing these new varietals. With climate change, with everything going on all over the
Hmm.
world, this is really important work that you're doing. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's not about tricking someone, but it's really
Yeah.
we do have to kind of convince people
Well,
like, hey,
yeah, I mean, it's what people did for millennia, right? As they moved, as they migrated, as they went to new regions, they'd plant grapes and they'd figure out which ones grew in the right regions. And they had 2,000 years to do that for Europe. We're doing it in 20 years here. Um, you know, as far as I know, like the whole country had vineyards before Prohibition. And
Yes.
like Prohibition hit the reset button and we
yes.
lost a lot of things that we knew.
It
And
really slowed down the whole American
yeah,
wine experience. It really just, and because then right after Prohibition, we had World War II.
yeah,
And that slowed it. I mean, so we had decades and decades where we weren't
Right.
growing as
yeah,
a depth and breadth of the wine industry.
We had a depression in there too.
And then we had a
yeah,
depression in there. So
yeah.
it wasn't really until like the 50s and 60s that we could get on our feet.
Oh,
So we're
absolutely.
babies. We're
And
real babies.
so this is what excites me most about, being in the wine industry is that this takes so much time, right? We knew this was going to take 25 years when we started the business. And we weren't doing this as a business. Like we weren't doing it for a quarterly return. We were doing it to build culture. And I
Mhm.
think that's so exciting because there's so few places you get to do that now. But
Yeah.
we're really like rebuilding a culture and bringing people together, giving them a really lovely place to sit outside, and to enjoy nature and to enjoy each other's company, to listen to live music that's not made by AI, it's an actual musician. Giving them authenticity. We're giving them something that's real.
And really good wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we wind down a little bit, we want to remind everybody that sovereignestateWines.com is their gateway to this incredible array of wines. But Ben, we wanted to ask you, what do you see, looking forward, both for Sovereign Estate and for the Minnesota wine industry? What can you give us sort of a glimpse into what you think the future holds?
Maybe.
That's fair.
I do know we're continuing to grow. I know that the local acceptance, we're starting to hit that stage where the local acceptance is happening. So we're getting more and more people. Like I said, every week we have new customers. And then when the locals really support us by asking for our wine in restaurants and asking it for it to be shipped at home, I'm hoping that at some point there's going to be somebody nationally who tries, maybe Itasca or Marquette or something and says, "Oh my, this is really good. Everybody should try it." Sort of like, I remember even not being brought up in wine culture, there was a time where you got laughed at for drinking rosé. And then it turned into the hottest thing.
Yep.
Right.
And that's exciting. I think Minnesota wines could have the potential for being something that everybody could be excited to try. I think that
I would hope. I'm excited that I had the opportunity to try these varietals that I've never tasted before. They stand up. Each one is completely unique.
Yeah, very
They're
much so.
food friendly. They taste great. They feel great in your mouth. This last, the Marquette Reserve.
yeah.
I mean, really, I would, it's a
Oh, we didn't talk about food pairings.
yeah, I
Like
was just about to
this,
say, like it's a rich Pinot kind of
yeah.
feel to it, but like in that juicier big, I'm sure now this vintage is the one we're tasting is 2023.
That's right.
Now, I mean, it's delicious, but you put this thing away for a few years,
Mhm.
it's gonna be rock star.
Yep.
Yeah, and in fact, we just tasted our very first vintage, which was 2013. So
Wow.
like nobody knows what a 20-year-old Marquette tastes like because it
Right?
didn't exist. So
Amazing.
it's exciting to think that we're doing that. And actually Marquette does age very well because of its acidity.
I think I might place a little order to put aside for a while.
Yeah.
Sure.
Really.
So tell us a little bit about Marquette Reserve and food pairings, and then we get to our favorite part of the program as we wind down, which is what Sandra's serving for dinner tonight, what I'm serving for
Oh,
dinner tonight, and which wines we're
And which
keeping.
gets to keep which
yeah,
bottles?
perfect. So the Marquette Reserve, that is so good with American Grill, right?
Yes.
Anything cooked on charcoal, really Marquette can hold up to because it has such like a depth of its
A good
fruit.
steak wine. It's a really
Yeah,
nice steak wine. But
the,
I would even do the steak like pan seared with the butter and the rosemary. I think
Mhm.
you've got a lot going on here with the
Yeah,
fruit
with
and the vanilla is just beautiful.
pork tenderloin with morels because we have
Mhm.
morel mushrooms all in
Yes.
our woods. It's like one of the things we really like to pair this with.
Oh yeah. That
Excellent.
sounds
So,
perfect.
what are you serving this evening?
Oh, I made chicken breast stuffed with prosciutto and fontina and herbs.
Okay. All right. Which of the four wines do you recommend?
Absolutely the Itasca.
Itasca.
Tasco will go great
And
with
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
we're doing oven roasted salmon and sauteed cabbage with onions.
There you go.
Ooh. Either the Le Crescent or Nouveau would be great, but even the Marquette Reserve would be great with salmon.
That
Yeah.
was the right answer.
The Marquette.
Yeah. Because then you
Although
get three,
the
she gets one.
Nouveau with the salmon would be really because the salmon's nice and bright. I think the Nouveau and the
Yeah,
salmon would be really
This,
nice together
this
too.
is this seems
absolutely.
like a negotiation now.
We'll arm wrestle later.
Well, listen, Ben, thank you so much. This has been a delight for sure. We enjoyed learning all about Sovereign Estate and yourself
Thank you.
and your family.
Yeah.
It's great that you guys are all in this together.
Yeah, that's really nice.
And I think as we continue our journey through the country, we really love when we have conversations with people like yourself in states that are not assumed to be wine producing states by the average wine drinker. So this is
and making beautiful wines.
Beautiful.
Congratulations. It's been a pleasure.
Minnesota.
That was great.
I got to tell you, in all my years of travel, I think one of the great food states I've ever visited is Minnesota. I've had some amazing meals.
This was so good. Do you want some more too?
Delicious.
This was so good. I mean, amazing meals, but like you said, the wines reflecting the food in the area. But like this, I'm sorry, if you blind tasted this,
but
it's just like a big, rich, yummy Pinot.
Before farm to table or eat local became popular throughout the country, they were practicing this in Minnesota because it is such an agricultural state. In spite of the cold winters, this to me just amplifies.
It represents the area,
because you've got all of this amazing farm. He was just saying with
we have the morel mushrooms, and we've got the fish that goes here with the certain really they pair with what's going on.
I was blown away.
Yeah.
And what a lovely guy.
Yes, very lovely guy. No, this was great and really fun to try varietals that are new. I mean, I've not tasted any of these before.
Nope,
so
I have not.
I mean, again, it was sovereignestateswine.com. The prices are amazing. The wines are fantastic.
They are.
I mean, just have some fun with this. Like, start ordering around the country.
Our adventure is going to continue.
Yes.
In another state that is equally not thought of.
Right.
For wine production. So
here we go.
And we'll get around to the biggies.
Look, we've got. Well, they're waiting for us. We're making them wait.
I shouldn't say that.
We're making them wait.
Oregon, Washington, and New York.
Yeah, and some California. We're making those guys wait because it's too interesting to talk to these people and to miss it out. So cheers.
Cheers.
Please remember to subscribe to Wine Across America on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.